Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So, look, I got another video to do after this one. Jake Paul and Anderson Silva are about to get paid. When I say paid, I mean paid, man. And it's crazy. But I'm not going to get into why I think it's crazy that they're making this kind of money. I think you guys who've been following the channel and who follow boxing, when you look at what Jake Paul and Anderson Silva are set to make, at least Jake Paul, the $40 million range, Anderson Silva maybe more like $20 million range. You guys know where I'm going to go with that, but I'm not going to say nothing. It's being shown on Showtime pay-per-view as well. I'm not going to say nothing, okay? I'll save that for another video. But anyway, Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, these guys are setting ticket revenue records at the Desert Storm Arena in Vegas. These guys are setting records because it takes two to tango, man. And Jake Paul, look, at the end of the day, he's a boxer. He's come a long way. He has a huge platform, huge profile. He's somebody. I'm not saying he's somebody in boxing, but because of the money he brings to the table, he's somebody. Because the fact that everybody wants to attach themselves to him, these parasites out here want to attach themselves to him and just, suck money out of him. Can't blame him. But at the same time, Jake Paul, he's served the role as a host to most people, but he's also kind of parasite that's kind of latched on to boxing to suck money out of boxing, okay? And you can't fault him, and you can't fault him as a host and parasite, and you can't fault the people who are trying to suck money out of him as being parasites, okay? So it is what it is. But when it comes to these guys, man, and we're talking about the records that they're setting out here at this venue, you got the guy Adesanya, huge name. You got Justin Poirier, huge name in the MMA community. But you're looking at the fact that these guys have set records, huge records for revenue, ticket sales, everything. Jake Paul comes. He could have probably done that by himself, but he has Anderson Silva. What you have here is three different worlds coming together. This is very similar to Mayweather and McGregor in the fact that you brought two worlds together. But those profiles are way bigger, and the interest was a lot more. But there's still a huge interest in what Jake Paul and Anderson Silva are able to generate. But instead of the two worlds like Mayweather and McGregor, boxing and MMA, here with Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, you have boxing, MMA, and then you have, I would say, a YouTube social media platform. Because that's really where the majority of Jake Paul fans come from. They're not guys like you or I who love boxing who all of a sudden want to get behind Jake Paul and buy his pay-per-view. Like that's not the case. So there's three platforms coming together. So what they expect to happen after the end of this week and the fight takes place and they sit back and start to do their tabulations and see ticket sales, the live gate, pay-per-view, and just see how the cards fall. Their target is for 700,000 pay-per-view buys, okay? So when you look at that, right, and the pay-per-view event is priced at $59. So when you look at that, 700,000 pay-per-view buys, right, at $60, I think that's like $42 million. Now, will they hit 700,000? Who knows? You got to understand, when it comes to Anderson Silva and his audience, and even Jake Paul and his audience, it's not like boxing world or all of us. I'm not saying they don't look to stream things and they won't get a fire stick and they're not looking to do certain things so they don't have to pay for the fight. But more times than not, they'll spend their money because it's just a different demographic. And boxing, not everybody's spending their money. You look at Deontay Wilder. He's a draw. Huge name. Top knockout artist in boxing. Maybe in the history of boxing, right? Man did what, 77,000 buys this weekend? Yeah, the price point was a little bit more, but still, 77,000 is what my understanding is. It's money, but come on, Deontay Wilder, that man should be hitting 500,000 at least. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But what I realistically think these guys are going to hit is probably more around, I say conservatively, right? maybe 300, 400. But it could get up there because of who Anderson Silva is, and everybody wants to see Anderson Silva knock out Jake Paul, right? And it is what it is. People want to see Anderson Silva kick Jake Paul's ass, and that's hilarious, man. But Anderson Silva can do it. But the thing about it is Anderson Silva is not stupid, because a lot of people are telling Anderson Silva that Jake Paul's not good, and Anderson Silva is making sure that he's not looking at Jake Paul as an easy fight, you know. But this is the thing about Anderson Silva, and it doesn't matter what we want to feel about Jake Paul. Jake Paul, like Anderson Silva, he is a striker. No matter if you want to accept it or not, you know, take the emotion out of it. Jake Paul's a damn striker. I'll tell you what, line up somebody in front of Anderson Silva. Let Anderson Silva throw the hardest right he possibly can at him. And let's see what happens. And let Jake Paul do that. Okay? And let's see what happens. What are you going to put your money on to knock that person out with one shot? I'm putting my money on Jake Paul all day. Okay? You can't teach that. I'm not saying Anderson Silva can't do it. What I'm telling you is Jake is a striker just like Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva knows that. And that's why he's not taking him lightly. Jake Paul's not knocking people out with the MMA mitts. He's knocking them out with the, what is he fighting in? 10-ounce gloves? 8-ounce gloves? I think it's 10 ounces. But if it's 8-ounce gloves, it is what it is. Okay? And the fact that Anderson Silva knocked out Tito Ortiz, come on. Let's not take it to the stupid. Hold your horses. Tito Ortiz, man, you can fall on that man and he'll fall over with his tongue hanging out his mouth, wrapped around his scalp and dragging across the top of his head. Okay, Ortiz is shot. He's a has-been. All right? Was a vicious fighter back in the day, but he's never really had a chin. But Anderson Silva is a bad man. But he's kind of up there in age. Y'all got to be real about this. I'm not saying he doesn't have awareness. I'm not saying he's still not athletic and in shape and he can't pull off upsets. What I'm telling you is he shouldn't be the betting favorite going into this fight with Jake Paul. This is not MMA. He can't, the spider can't crawl all over him and, sit there and wrap him up with his legs and shit like that and arms. You just can't do it. And choke him out and bend him up and pretzel his ass up. You just can't do it. But Silva has been honest and said, hey, look, man, people are telling me that Jake Paul's not a good fighter. I should easily get him out of there. He said, but to me, the fight is a fight, a real fight, and I'm going to train hard to win, and I'm not looking at it as an easy fight because once you step through those ropes, it's dangerous, and he's correct. It doesn't matter who Paul has fought, 5-0, 4 knockouts, he's knocked everybody out, and we all know that some of those guys were goddamn Tootsie Rolls, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but, you just don't knock somebody out cold, no matter if they're a Tootsie Roll or not. You may bang them around, make them dizzy, make them drop them and shit like that. But you knock them out cold, that's totally different, okay? So Jake Paul's been out the ring for 10 months. Silva, he's still out here, man, getting busy. He's been out the ring for, I think, like 13 months since he fought in that card with, I think he was out there with Mayweather, right? He fought in Dubai or somewhere. But anyway, we're going to see what happens when it comes to this fight with these guys. I just think we got to give Jake Paul some credit because he was sparring with Chad Dawson. Now, for those of you who don't know who Chad Dawson is an amazing fighter, okay? Champion everything, southpaw. I think he's from Rhode Island or somewhere. He's from up there like where Demetrius Andrade is from, up in that area. But Jake Paul's been sparring with him. And Chad Dawson, I tend to believe what he says. He kind of has the same dimensions as Anderson Silva too, as far as height, reach. I'm not saying a similar style, but it gives Jake Paul an excellent look. And Chad Dawson has really been spending his time in retirement on the circuit as a sparring partner for a lot of people. So he's still staying active, he's still sharp. But the thing about it is, Chad Dawson would whip Anderson Silva's ass in a boxing ring any day. And Chad Dawson is in there giving Jake Paul a whole lot of work. And he's not taking it easy on him. Jake Paul's getting his ass whipped. But then what happened is Jake Paul started getting better. And Dawson said, and I'd have to agree with him, if Jake Paul can land shots on me, and I'm not making it easy, because he's champion level. He's like, championship level. He's like, he can land shots on me. He should be able to land shots on Silva. I I don't see Silva being able to conjure up anything more clever when it comes to that boxing ring than Chad Dawson. I just don't see it. So Chad Dawson raises Jake Paul's level of competition significantly. And he's going to push him to the next level, which he has, and I think he's going to show up in the ring because that's what Jake Paul needs. And if he can be in there with Dawson, he can beat Silva. So we're going to see what happens on 29 October. But that being said, I'm about to do another video because when you look at the fight purse, right, these guys are going to make a lot of money. But we understand what Anderson Silva brings to the table. He's not a normal fighter. This guy is considered the GOAT of MMA. What do you have, like a 14-year stretch of being undefeated, something like that? Either 14 fights or 14, something crazy. 14 fights or 14 years, right? Just couldn't be touched, right? But, you know, Father Time catches up with you. So now, then he retired, got a phone call, opportunity to box, came into boxing, feeling pretty good, about to fight Jake Paul. I just think people should be careful what they're asking for. Jake Paul knows his back is against the wall every time he gets into a boxing ring. And I'm not a Jake Paul cheerleader. I'm not an Anderson Silva cheerleader. I'm a guy who's sitting here and just trying to be practical and be fair. And I think Jake Paul has a really good chance of winning this fight by knockout. Because Anderson Silva, the one thing he's always done, and you just can't break those bad habits, I don't care who you are, when you've been doing it for years and you're almost 50 years old like Anderson Silva. Putting your hands down, showboating, and doing all this crap that Silva likes to do, he is going to get his head knocked off his shoulders playing that shit with Jake Paul. I'm telling you, I'm putting my money on Jake Paul to knock Anderson Silva out cold. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's what makes it fun, a little prediction. And I'm not just saying it because of Anderson Silva's age. I'm saying it because Jake Paul has been working and working hard. He's working with, you know, former champions, guys who are pushing him. And what's Anderson Silva? Who's he working with? What's he doing? I'm not saying it's about knowing what you do best and implementing that in the ring. I'm not saying that he's not doing that. I just think it takes a little bit more of just being a good striker to get in there, Anderson Silva, to beat Jake Paul. Because Jake Paul is trained to set traps, to set you up. He set traps against Tyron Woodley. Okay? So Jake Paul's he's thinking in there. And he's had a lot of time since that Woodley fight to work on his game. And now he's coming in against Anderson Silva, who's not a boxer, okay? Yeah, he was good with his hands. We get it. What's his name, too? The Diaz boys. Nick Diaz, good with their hands. But if they're coming in to box Jake Paul would knock them out. Okay, they're not boxers. Instinctively, they want to do something other than just sit there and box and use their legs and move around. And that's why I think these MMA fighters have problems when they come over to boxing. Okay, because in boxing, instinctively, you want to use your legs to get out the way, close the distance. You know, your whole mindset is different. You use your arms and legs for different things. In MMA, if you've been training away for all those years, now you come in the ring and imagine if you've been throwing combinations your whole life, right? 1, 2, hook, kick, grab. 1, 2, hook, kick, grab. And now you train in boxing. 1, 2, hook, slip, roll out, jab, whatever it is that you're doing. At some point when they're holding those mitts, I'm telling you, the guy has a tendency to want to kick. You saw that shit with McGregor and Floyd. Hammer fisting, craziness. It's not that they're trying to be dirty. That's how they're wired. And that's what I think is going to happen to Anderson Silva. I don't care how he looked against Chavez Jr., how he looked against Tito Ortiz, or what the hell happened out there in Dubai with that helicopter pad, whatever the hell he did out there. I think I'm rooting for both of these guys. I like Silva, good dude, great fighter, good family man. But I just think he should. You're chasing the money, go for it. You know, push yourself. I think he's gonna get knocked out. I really do. And Jake Paul, he deserved credit for the win, but at the end of the day, Jake Paul's not fighting John Jones. Okay? So let's just be real. That being said, y'all keep cool. I appreciate the support. And as always, I'm in the breeze.